Hey folks, it's your man Captain Rom here. So as promised last week, we're going to dive into how your international freight turns into your domestic freight and what things you want to consider in that transition. First and foremost, one of the biggest things that you want to consider when importing goods to the United States, it's the port of entry. For example, if I'm importing goods from Asia, I would maybe want to avoid going to the East Coast ports. Why? Well, because if I go through the Panama Canal, then that is going to add another week or two to my transit times, right? And other things that I want to consider when deciding which port I want to import to, it's basically the traffic in that port. Ports like Long Beach or Los Angeles ports get overall together 40% of the imports to the United States. And although they are big, good ports, but things might take a while for those ports to get cleared, right? And other things that you want to consider when going into a port or going out of a port is custom clearances, right? Some ports, like again, SoCal, Los Angeles, and Port of Long Beach, are notorious for really having a tough clearance, custom clearance process when it comes to like home goods, right? So if you're like importing or exporting home goods, you might want to avoid SoCal ports and avoid that custom clearance that you have to go through. And other things that you want to consider, it's basically your final mile delivery. If I'm bringing goods in the United States to get them into, like, for example, Nebraska, maybe there is a better port for me to get to than, the New York port or New Jersey port, right? Just depending on how much that final mile delivery is going to cost me, I might want to get as close as possible to my final destination and choose the closest port to my final destination when it comes to picking up that port, right? Last but not least, you want to consider how many trucks are available around these ports, right? Like how easy am I able to get some drayage carriers to get my containers out of there and get them within my final delivery cycle. Sometimes even accidents happen in certain ports. I mean, as we witnessed over the past year, Port of Baltimore had a huge accident that happened, and then that created some bottlenecks in that port. So those are some things that overall you want to consider when it comes to deciding which port that you want to go to. Because again, like I said, your international freight and your domestic freight are pretty much intertwined. So you want to look at it as a holistic view and figure out, okay, how's that first mile affecting my last mile, right? How's the middle mile affecting both? And not to consider just the cheapest way of doing things, but there are a lot of hidden costs in different aspects of it, and really consider how can I get the most value out of the price that I'm paying for this whole transition, for this whole domestic and international freight cost overall, and how can I make the best decision? So I hope this few different points here help you out as far as deciding which port you want to import or export your goods from or to. Please go ahead and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. If you're watching us through YouTube, Shippers Hub, please go ahead and add yourself to our group within LinkedIn. Again, it's called Shippers Hub. What we are trying to do, we're trying to create the biggest community for shippers within YouTube and LinkedIn, so we can all learn from each other, inspire each other, entertain each other, and overall just have a great time with each other. So looking forward to get to know more of you guys and get to hear more from you guys. So please go ahead, like, subscribe, add yourself to our LinkedIn group, and leave some comments about what you think. Thank you.